All right, hello and welcome again to Elite Fitness and Nutrition. I'm Coach Ryan. So today we're going to talk about what we call a basic shoulder complex. And there are all kinds of exercises you can do in this type of a complex, but we're going to show you a basic one that we put together here. So what you're going to need is a couple of tools here. I have a couple of tennis balls. So this is tennis balls. I basically just taped them together. It's called a T-spine roller. You got two tennis balls taped together here. I've got a single tennis ball. And then I got a lacrosse ball just in case. You can use these. You can use either one of these, but I got both here. And then you're going to need a light stretch band. And finally over here I have hooked up a little bit of a thicker stretch band. Okay, so you need a few pieces of equipment here. None of it's very expensive stuff. All right, when you're doing a basic protocol here, you want to always start out with soft tissue. Okay, there's kind of a series and an order you want to go through with everything. So we've got soft tissue or massage work. Okay, then we've got some general mobility. We'll do strength, all right, working on some strength work on our shoulders, and then finishing off with some static stretching. All right, so I'm going to show you basically to start off here, we're going to attack the front and back of our shoulders, so our internal and our external rotators and our traps. All right, so let's start off with our traps here. So our traps basically work right down the whole middle of our upper and mid back. So I'm going to take this tennis ball and I'm going to place it just at the bottom of my shoulder blades here, or slightly below, right in the center. My spine sits right in that little groove, and those tennis balls are going to act as little massagers for those trap muscles. So when I set up here, I'm going to lay over this ball, and it will be uncomfortable. It needs to be. I'm going to wrap my hands, give myself a big hug. What I'm essentially trying to do here is pull my shoulder blades apart and give myself as much space that I can get those tennis balls in on my traps. So here we go. I'm going to lay down on this ball. I'm going to wrap around as much as I can, and all I'm going to do is kind of press into that ball and then relax back down. And breathing while I do this. Press in and relax back down. And I'm just kind of creating a little bit of a massage motion as I do this there. All right, I'm going to work my way up the back. So I'm going to hold my shirt and I'm going to roll it. And now I've got it right in between my shoulder blades here, a little higher. And I'll do the same thing again. I usually do about 5 reps or so at least. When I find the really tender spot, or the spot that's the issue, I'll stick on that a little longer. And I can work this thing all the way up to my upper traps, just at the base of my neck right here. And I'm just working on keeping my pressure into that tennis ball as I do this, okay? So you'll do that for about a minute. Then I'm going to work to the outside of my shoulders, working my internal, which is in the front, okay, pec minor, internal rotators, and then my external rotators, my rear delt, okay, and some of these muscles in the back of my shoulder. So I'm going to come over to the wall, and I'm going to place. The tennis ball is a little softer and it's a little easier. It's a great thing to start out with. Once you get a little more advanced, you get better, and you can move to a harder, kind of rubbery lacrosse ball. This is going to put a little more pressure if you need it. So I'm going to take this tennis ball and I'm going to put it right in the back of my shoulder, on the outside of my shoulder blade right here. And I'm just going to kind of work it, and you can sort of do this however you need. You can work some circles, you can kind of go back and forth, and then when you find the spot that's nice and tender, you're just going to put some pressure in and just kind of massage that tender spot right there. And once again, you're doing this for a good 30 to 45 seconds. Okay, you'll do that on both sides. Then you're going to come over to a wall. You want to have a corner, and you'll see why here in a second. We're going to come over here to this wall, and we're going to put this ball right in the front of our shoulder here, right at the seam of our shirt. Okay, so I've got my hand behind my back. I'm going to place that ball. Now the reason I need this corner is I don't want to be smashing my face into this wall, so I want to be able to kind of lean into it right here. And I'm just going to work kind of up and down across that seam right there of my shirt, right at the top of my pec, bottom of my shoulder right there. Not getting up onto the point of the shoulder, but staying just below, right in there. And once again, back and forth, working some circles in there. Okay, I like to use the wall because now I can really put some pressure in, and it's key. You need some pressure to really manipulate that muscle. All right, so you can spend a good 3 to 5 minutes just working your soft tissue work. All right, let's come back over here. Once you're done, you're going to go through just a basic general mobility of your shoulders. All right, I'm going to show you just a couple of easy exercises. We're going to do 5 to 10 reps of each one of these. So we're starting out with our neck rolls, okay, because these neck muscles will work all the way down into our traps here, and it's all connected. So it's always good to start with some neck rolls. So I've got ear to shoulder, chin to chest, and I'm just going to do about 5 one way, letting my shoulders hang nice and heavy, 5 the other way. All right, then I'm going to go into some small arm circles, 5 each way. So I've got some nice tight circles, 5 one way, 5 the other way, and then I'm going to do the same thing nice and big, getting a little bit of momentum behind it, 5 one way, 5 the other way, just really working my shoulders in all directions. Now I'm going to pull across. I'm going to grab right above my elbow, pull across the upper part of my chest, get a nice pull, and then swing. Keep your arms up, so I'm stretching out my chest and the front of my shoulders as I swing back. I'm stretching the back of my shoulder as I pull across. So I'll do 5 on each side there. And then I'll do the same thing going up and then swinging down, right? So I'm going to do 5 here. The last 2, I'm going to do 10 reps on these 2. This is an internal, external rotator. This is a little more similar to a throwing motion. So what I want to do here is I want to keep my elbow lined up all the way across my body through the other side. So I have this nice straight line from elbow to elbow. I'm trying very carefully not to let my posture drop forward here. I want to keep good posture, and I'm just going to work this internal, external rotation. And literally the ball of my arm is just rotating in the socket right there as I do this, okay? And then I'm going to finish off with a little torso rotation working down my back. So neck, shoulders, and into my back. Like I said, everything's connected. Keeping your hips fairly locked in place so you get a good thoracic or upper back rotation there, okay? And that's your general mobility, just to kind of get the blood flowing and get everything warmed up. Now I'm going to move on to some of my strength. So we did our soft tissue massage, we did our general mobility, and now let's go into some strength. So I've got 3 different exercises I'm going to show you here. Very simply, I'm just going to hold this up at shoulder level, elbows up, and how close you grip this band determines how hard this is going to be. So you got to make your adjustments. And I'm just going to squeeze my shoulder blades together in the back and pull this band to my upper chest for about 10 to 15 reps. All right? Then I'm also going to reverse my grip, elbows in, and I'm going to do about 10 to 15 reps here. I want to keep my elbows in at my side here. I don't want my elbows to come away because I'm really trying to work this internal, external rotation at the bottom position here as well. So I'm going to do my 10 to 15 reps, and I'm going to feel this still in my back, the back of my shoulders, but a little lower, okay, right there. Finally, I'm going to hook this band up to a secured surface. Make sure you have a sturdy surface. It's not going to break on you, something solid, okay? And I'm going to work that same rotation here, but I'm going to work it at the upper level here. So once again, just like my warm-up, my elbow is lined up with my shoulder perfectly straight. I'm just going to go down and back, right? I can step forward and make this a little more challenging, but notice how I'm moving this nice and smooth. Just to 90 and then back up. So I'm only moving it 90 degrees right here. Just getting some muscle development in that internal rotator. Okay, I'll do that on both arms, and I'll do the same thing in reverse for my external rotators. Now this one is going to be a little harder. Usually these muscles aren't quite as strong, so you might not be able to stretch the band back as far. And I'm just going to go back. You want to, like I said, you want to watch your position. Okay, the little details on these exercises are what make them really effective. Being able to control that motion, and I'm not pulling this back or letting my shoulder drop, but I'm just getting that smooth rotation. Once again, the ball is just rotating in the socket. Okay, so I'll go through all 3 of those exercises. All right, once I'm done there, and like I said, you can go through this multiple times. So I don't just have to do one set. I can go back through that 2 or 3 sets with those bands there. All right, then I'm going to finish up with some static stretching. All right, so I've got a little bit thicker band here because we're really trying to get some traction and pull those muscle fibers apart a little bit to kind of promote some more flexibility. 3 stretches here. 1 is going to be for my lats, which is the muscle that connects from my armpit all the way down my hip. Very important muscle in my back. It's the biggest muscle in your back there, and it's really connected to your shoulder and what connects your whole body together, lower body to upper body. I'm also going to, once again, like the common theme here is we're going to work our pec minor or internal rotators on one of our stretches, and then our rear delt or external rotators on the other stretch. So first stretch here is for my lats down my side. You see how I've got the band gripped? Right here, my wrist is through, and I'm going to grip it this way. I don't want to have a real tense grip on this because I want this arm to be as relaxed as possible as an extension of the band. And I'm very simply going to bend over at the waist so my arm is directly above my head, and I'm going to rotate my thumb down to open up this lat. Now, to get a little more stretch, I'm going to step it back and across to the right. So you can see how this band is pulling across my body. As I lean to my right and relax that arm, I can feel that stretch down my side. So I would do that for at least 30 seconds, probably 45 on each side. All right? The next one I would do is going to be right here for the back of my shoulder. All right? So I've got this band. I want to make sure that I bend over enough. Depending on where the band is connected, you'll have to adjust, okay? If it's higher up, you'll be more upright. If you got the band lower like this, you might have to bend over a little bit. But the key is I want this arm across my upper chest, almost across my throat. I don't want it way down here. You won't feel it as much. So I'm going to get down to where that arm is right across my throat, and I'm just going to rotate away from the rack with my torso, letting this arm fully relax. And this band is pulling me across this way, and I'm just going to rotate away, relax that shoulder until I feel that good stretch there in the back. All right? On the last one, you will have to raise this band up higher. You want this band up above your head, maybe even a little higher. Really, the higher the better. All right? And I'm going to face away from the rack. So I did one where I was facing towards, one where I was facing sideways, and now one facing away. So I'm going to turn my thumb down again. I'm going to walk out till I feel some good tension. And all I'm going to do is take my chest and just rotate it forward to this wall and square it up. I'm not trying to drive this shoulder forward. Once again, I want this relaxed. As I bring my torso around and square my chest up, this shoulder is pulled back, okay? So I'm going to feel that stretch right in the front of my shoulder there, right in my pec in the front. And I'm going to hold this. Once again, these are 30 to 45 second stretches minimum on each side, okay? And that is our shoulder complex. Remember, this can be used for just a general warm-up for you throwers, tennis players, baseball players, anything like that. This can be used as just a general warm-up. If you're having some kind of shoulder pain, but you don't really know what the culprit is or what's truly going on, this is a great way to start kind of understanding what's going on in your body and starting to figure out some things you can do to help any pain that you might be having in your shoulders. All right, guys, so I hope that helped you. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, live elite.